The RAC Tourist Trophy for historic cars is about to get underway. The cars are all lining up beautifully. Plenty of Jaguar E-types going into the race, and the race gets underway. And Neil McFadden starting from pole position. He's on the left-hand side as you look at it. Looks as though Neil's making a pretty good start from the Minshaw car on the outside, although that's going to have a little attack. And the Minshaw car goes ahead. It's the number 133 car, and it's Minshaw who moves in front. Great start by them, and pushed back down to second place is Neil McFadden, and then it's all getting very, very close for third.
I think Neil McFadden actually has gone back to about fifth place now. I think it's the Cottingham E-Type that's come up into second. But bear in mind, there are two drivers in this race, and if the quicker driver qualified the car and the slower driver started, you'll see cars dropping back down through the order, and you'll see McFadden now being challenged by the Ferrari Bread van, and also in there is Martin Hunt in the silver Cobra as well.
Look at the battle for the lead. It's going side by side as they head down towards Brooklands, and it looks like a pretty good move coming down the inside. Nigel Greensall, I think, has managed to squeeze through. He has. So Nigel Greensall in the number 179 car starting this race that he's sharing with David Gooding has made a lovely manoeuvre to get past the number 133 Jack Minshaw in that car currently, but it's mighty, mighty close.
It is indeed. Three E-types making their way through, and the car from pole position down to about fifth or sixth place. But here we come now. They spread out three abreast almost into Cops Corner, and turning in first is Nigel Greensall from Jack Minshaw, John Minshaw's son, young Jack. He's about 30 now, and he's being chased by James Cottingham. 66 car. There's the Bread van from the back, very strong shot.
This is good battle for second. James Cottingham really pushing, putting the pressure all. Look at that, over the curve, bouncing around a little bit. But yeah, Cottingham has got into second place, hasn't he? I think the Minshaw car has dropped back down into third position now. Yep, there you are, the 133. So Jack Minshaw's dropped down into third place. As you say, the Ferrari in fourth place, bit of a chance perhaps to close up that gap and get on terms with the E-types. But it's an E-type 1, 2, 3 for now.
The Ferrari wasn't done any favours by the wet qualifying session yesterday, a really tough qualifying session for that car, and it actually started in seventh place, Lucas Halusa, but now it's being able to stretch its legs as it goes round Stowe Corner, down into the Vale, and then into the left-hander at Club Corner, and it's still Nigel Greensall leading, drifting the car around. Lovely to see these cars moving around so much, isn't it, Ben?
Yeah, it is. Martin Brundle, by the way, is in sixth place. Yeah, it is the Martin Brundle, commentator, ex-F1 driver. He's in sixth place, and he's made up a little bit of ground already on this opening lap. But Nigel Greensall is sailing away at the moment in front, not getting away too far from James Cottingham in second place. But these E-types being driven absolutely on the limit. We're going to see plenty of E-type action over the course of the weekend. We are celebrating 60 years of the Jaguar E-type being in existence, and the Ferrari's having a good close battle for third.
Absolutely, yes, and I think we'll see the Ferrari up with the leaders fairly soon once he can get by, and he does. He goes through on the inside at the loop and up towards Aintree, and Cottingham looking for the inside there. Both of them drifting on opposite lock through the left-hander at Aintree, now onto the Wellington straight. They come down the long straight. They're looking now for their braking point for the left-hander at Brooklands. There go the brakes, the front dips, and they turn in now to the left-hander. Very defensive line from Nigel Greensall there. He knows Cottingham's looking for a way through.
Yeah, that was well held. Brundle has just got into sixth place, holding on to that sixth place, but it's the battle for the lead we are watching at the moment. Nigel Greensall still just about fending off James Cottingham. Greensall getting a bit too sideways over the curb, but he held it together, but that has given Cottingham a good run, good exit. The pit boards are up there for these teams who are based up at the top end, the national pits, and there's an attack from Cottingham, and he's down the inside into Cops Corner. Lovely move on the brakes. Nigel Greensall finds himself back in second place. Very evenly matched cars.
Absolutely, yeah, and they look very similar as well, don't they, with the soft tops as they come through Maggots, and then into Beckett's they go, and it's now James Cottingham leading from Nigel Greensall in second place, and then it's the Ferrari Bread van in third place, but we can see two E-types in fourth and fifth.
The way Greensall just flings it over the curbs to shortcut the corner, lovely, and he is still on the attack. Cottingham is in front. Greensall is now picking up the toe, moving to the outside down the hanger straight, down towards Stoke Corner. Will he go for the late lunge down the inside? I don't think he's quite going to go there. Look how close he runs, and when you're running a historic car like this, Alistair, worth a lot of money, yet you're prepared to sort of almost rub bumpers. It's incredible.
Well, they trust each other, don't they? He knows that James Cottingham's not going to do anything silly. He's not going to try and chop off the corner, and they go through now in Club Corner, and James Cottingham just a little quicker on the entry to Club, but will Nigel Greensall now get a better run up the Hamilton Straight and maybe challenge when they come past us and into Village Corner? We can see the bread van now has got well ahead of the two E-types behind in third place, and then in fourth place we've got the Jack Minshaw car, and then it's James Hansen in fifth place.
Yeah, and then Martin Brundle is still in sixth place. There is Martin Brundle, car number 8. It's a slightly more basic car than some. There are some differences between the E-types, and so we'll see how he gets on. But Brundle going well. He's under a bit of pressure, isn't he, from the number 77 car. That's Ollie Webb at the moment, another very top driver, GT driver. He's driving a few different cars, and Ollie has a little bit of an inside line there. Doesn't quite get alongside. Probably has to give a lift off the throttle, as Brundle has the perfect right to take the line, but I think Ollie's going to have another go.
I think he is, and I think if we could see Martin Brundle's face, you'd see he had a smile from ear to ear. I'm sure he's really enjoying this. He knows Silverstone very well, and comes down into Brooklands, holds a tight line there, a little bit defensive. You can see Brundle's helmet there, the very famous red and blue stripes, the flashes on his helmet that he always wore through his Grand Prix career. And then right behind him, Ollie Webb. Ollie Webb gets a bit sideways in Luffield there, loses a little bit of time, and Brundle just a little bit smoother.
So going well for Brundle so far, but is he going to be able to hang on in there? We shall see. Further down the order, we've got the car of Martin Hunt and Pat Blakeney-Edwards. That's a bit further down. He's in 11th place at the moment. He is Hunt in the car at the moment. Pat Blakeney-Edwards, who we saw out earlier on, doing a star drive in the pre-war cars, will be taking over at the pit stop in the AC Cobra. May well be able to get that car up into the top 10. There's the Ferrari bread van, as it's known, the 250. Oh, and that was Brundle, I think, going over, running wide there. Yeah, he ended up going across the escape route and has rejoined once again as we're looking at the top 5 cars all heading down the hanger straight, and a bit of pressure now being applied as well on the Minshaw machine.
That's James Hansen in the 144 car, just challenging Jack Minshaw, who's starting the car, hand over to his father John later in the race as they come down into the Vale, into Club Corner, and it's Jack Minshaw just ahead.
It is for now, but it is close, as you say, and the E-types are putting on a tremendous display, but there are plenty of other cars out there in this race of all different types of machinery. The Austin Healys were running pretty well in the damp yesterday, not perhaps performing quite so well in the dry as they did yesterday, but we may well see a bit more action from them later in the race. But these E-types slithering and sliding around, but beautifully balanced. There's one of the Austin Healys running pretty strongly at the moment. That is car number 61. That's Doug Muirhead, the car he's sharing with Jeremy Welsh. And they're currently running in 14th place. A couple of Austin Healys together, in fact.
Yes, the big Healys, they were known as, the ones with the 3-litre engines. Very successful in racing and particularly in rallying. Not a car you'd imagine would do well in rallies, but they certainly did.
Yeah, wonderful machinery, and another of the classic British GT cars. That's what this Tourist Trophy is all about. The pre-63 GT cars of the era. 1961, the Jaguar E-Type, a little bit earlier on the Austin Healys, and a very exciting car to watch. Up front, the race is still being led, but look at the Ferrari of Halusa now getting right into the game, I have to say. He's doing a good job, Lucas Halusa. He's challenging for second place. Nigel Greensall struggling a bit now, maybe the car sliding around a little too much. The Ferrari is putting the pressure on.
And that Ferrari is absolutely unique. It was built by Count Giovanni Volpi, or he had it commissioned, and it's taken second place away from Nigel Greensall into Beckett's corner, just coming out of Maggots there into Beckett's. And Count Volpi wanted to buy a Ferrari 250 GTO, which was the race version of the car that Ferrari produced, but Mr. Ferrari wouldn't sell him one, so he built his own from a slightly less competitive Ferrari 250 GT, and the bread van was the result.
It just went past the rather beautiful Alfa Romeo Giulietta. Sharon Edelman is driving that at the moment. Sharon sharing it with Andy Willis. Beautiful little car, not quite as competitive. It's only a 1300cc engine in the Alfa. The leaders, this leading group, have blasted past it very early in the race, but nonetheless, that's what's so fun to see some of these other beautiful cars out there. Fastest lap for the race leader, and that car is working extremely well at the moment, I have to say. James Cottingham, he will be handing over to Harvey Stanley later on in this race when we see the pit stops. It's a 50-minute race in total, so we've only had 10 minutes so far, plenty more time to go. You can see a lot of changes after those pit stops. For now, though, it is the number 66 Cottingham Stanley car, but the Ferrari not far away, only a second and a half behind. So we'll see. And meanwhile, Martin Brundle is still coming under some increasing pressure from Ollie Webb. Martin did run wide, as we saw, but sort of got away with it and held his position. But Martin, you can see the work on the steering wheel as he slithers and slides his way around. Ollie Webb, not quite as quick in this section, but I think in the sort of higher speed sections, perhaps the coupe version got a little bit more straight line speed.
Possibly, yes, as they go out through Aintree. Martin Brundle not sparing the apex there, is he? He's very, very tight, and Ollie Webb actually not sparing the exit because he's way across the curbs, bounces back onto the track again. That will have lost him time, and that's actually, that was Jack Minshaw we were looking at then. So actually the car going wide was in fact James Hansen coming out of Aintree. And now we're looking at one of the American cars that's entered in the race. That's Alan Letts in his Chevrolet Corvette, which is chasing one of the British-built Austin Healey's. The Corvette still being produced, of course, in a completely different shape to that now. And in fact, their first mid-engine car is now on sale after being front-engined all the way through until very recently.
Actually, I'm a little sad about that because the front-engine Corvette's always been a classic to me, and those early Corvettes are wonderful machines. They've got so much character to the look of them. Here we are with that battle for the lead, because the Ferrari has really caught up, hasn't it, to James Cottingham. Lucas Alusa absolutely flying. As you said, he struggled a bit in the damp yesterday with the Ferrari, but look at it, speed in the dry.
Absolutely, yes, and both these cars have been raced from day one. The E-Type was sent over to America. It was one of the first E-Types sent to America in 1961 and was raced from day one. Its speedo still reads 1 mile because it's always been a racing car. The Ferrari, as I say, Count Volpi had it built, and that has been raced from day one. So these are proper historic racing cars.
Yeah, and they are putting on a lovely show at the moment. This is the battle for the lead here, with plenty more time to go. Lucas will be driving the car throughout this race, so when he makes his pit stop, he has to do a pause, of course, in the pits, the same as everybody who are changing drivers, but he will be back out in the car. So we see he's got good pace already, and it means there's a good opportunity for him today into Abbey Corner, a corner that is flat out in a Formula 1 car, but you could see the braking, you could see the dip on the E-Type before it turned into Abbey Corner. Very different in a car without downforce. It's a real corner, fast, but you need to hit the brakes before you go in, and Cottingham is chucking this E-Type around. The Ferrari looks like it's on rails pretty much in comparison.
Yeah, completely different sort of car, isn't it? In fact, in the time, it was E-Types versus the Ferrari 250 GTO, which was the full race version that Ferrari produced. And it was that car that proved that really the E-Type was never going to be competitive in international racing. And we're seeing here a derivation of the Ferrari 250 GT racing with the E-Type. So it's almost like you're back in the early 60s.
Yeah, the frustration for Jaguar, where the Ferrari 250 was just that much faster and very, very effective car. Coming up to lap, some other interesting back markers as well. So just going past the number 177 car, that's Ken Pritchard-Jones in the Turner. We haven't got many Turners in this race, but it was a classic sports car, classic British sports car in its day, wasn't it?
Yes, low volume, like a number of cars, and they used the basis of maybe an MGB or even a Mini to build cars that were very low volume, and Turner, very successful little make, but we don't see it anymore.
No, and we haven't got many entered. I think it's only the one Turner in this particular race. We've got the odd Triumph as well. There's a Triumph TR4. Keep your eyes out for that one. Always fun to see. We've seen there is a couple of Aston Martins out in this race as well. And there's also a Morgan +4 Super Sports, Kevin Kivloken, who's in that one. So yeah, some other cars to keep an eye out for as we go through this race. But we're watching the battle up front, and some other battles further down the order. Sam Tordoff, the touring car driver, he's in the second of these two cars.
Yes, that's the little Porsche 356. Not competitive for the front of the field, but in his class, very competitive. But we're not seeing him battle for the lead of the race. But nevertheless, Sam driving the wheels off his little Porsche 356, which he absolutely loves driving. He's had it for many years. Now we're back to the lead battle, and still Halusa cannot get past Cottingham. Remember, Cottingham will be handing over to Harvey Stanley, but Lucas Halusa will continue after the pit stops to drive the Ferrari. But he just can't find a way by as they go through Farm and up towards the tighter right-hander at Village.
Yeah, well, maybe he's just sort of taking his time. Oh dear, we've got two cars off, an E-Type and an Austin Healey. What a shame. 661, that's Neil McFadden, and 61 is Doug Muirhead. What a shame. Maybe they had a bit of an incident together, and that is disappointing to see. Two classic British sports cars. Let's have a look, Alistair, and see if we can find out what happened. Oh, actually, they both ran wide. It looks like separate incident. I wonder if there was oil down or something, or did he brake because he saw the incident? Yeah. See, people all running a bit wide there.
Yeah.
But then the E-Type may have got off because he lifted mid-corner, and of course if you lift mid-corner the back end swings around on you. Thankfully he didn't actually hit the Austin Healey. He went off into the same area. My goodness, they could have made contact.
I think the Marshals would have had the slippery surface flags out immediately if there was anything on the track, so I think you're right, it was just the E-Type lifted off.
Look at this, the Marshals are almost helping get the car out.
Yeah, they're
fantastic effort. Big smile on the face. I don't think they're quite going to do it. He's too far into the gravel. Marshals, well done guys, having a great weekend, helping as many drivers as possible to get back on the road. The British Motorsports Marshals Club. If you want to become a marshal, by the way, they've got a centre up between Copse Corner and Beckett's, up on the inside. Up there you can go and have a chat with the guys and find out what it is to become a marshal. A wonderful volunteer opportunity to be at an event like this and totally involved in everything that's going on, making it happen.
Absolutely, yes. Well, racing wouldn't run without the marshals, that's for sure. As we watch the leaders, we've got a local yellow flag at that incident at the moment, which was at Beckett's, wasn't it? So they're not needing at the moment to put out a safety car, which is good news, as we see a Triumph in the pits.
Jonathan Turner's car.
Yeah, looks like they're in trouble, chatting their bonnet off, so clearly some sort of engine malady. And we do have a safety car. That's unfortunate. I was hoping they might be able to clear that incident.
We'll bring the field together again, though, won't it?
It will, yes.
I wonder if people will choose this time to make a pit stop. There's the 661 car with the driver getting a bit of power on, trying to drive it out the gravel, but there's no, you go, oh dear, careful guys, you don't want to touch the wall. But it is driving out of the gravel, look.
Yeah. Well, yesterday with all the rain, the gravel compacted and the cars were driving out of it, so hopefully there's still a bit of compacting in there. But Sam Hancock's taking that car over, so I'm glad it's back on track because it'd be great to see Sam out racing.
Yeah, it would be good to see him driving that car.
And that's well beached, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to get that out. That's why we've got the safety car out, because they're going to need to get a vehicle out there to tow it out of the gravel. Marshals did a great job trying to push it, but it's just too deep into there, so they're going to have to rescue that car. You can't really let the racing continue when you've got a car in the gravel in a key area like that, which would be so easy to hit. As we saw, the E-Type nearly hit it when it went off. So that's a tricky one. There's that beautiful Alfa Romeo, the Sharon Edelman, Andy Willis car, 1300cc, and yeah, it's just a unique shape, isn't it, from that period. And 1962 car. Runs in Class A in this Pre-63 GT. Heading into the pits, one of the Aston Martins. Number 98 there we're looking at. That is the Nigel Winchester Chas Mallard AC Cobra. An early Cobra from 1962. Of course, they went on to become pretty dominant. Oh, and there's an Austin Healey also running a little bit off track. That's the Theo Hunt Fred Wakeman car. There's a problem, I think, with it.
Yes, I think he's decided to pull well to the side of the track so that it didn't impede anyone else, but that looks like there's a mechanical failure for Theo Hunt.
Oh.
That's a shame. Fred Wakeman was going to be sharing that car.
Beautiful looking car, a nice, lovely livery, isn't it? There's another of the Austin Healey's, number 207. That's the Crispin Harris driven car at the moment. He's sharing it with James Wilmoth. And that has the classic 3-litre engine inside.
And now we've got James Bond.
We do. That's a very beautiful Aston Martin as well.
Yes, they're very purposeful from the 14 car. That's driven by Les Goebel. That's a DB4.
Yeah.
So slightly earlier, I think it was DB5, wasn't it, that James Bond had. But that's the slightly earlier car, but very, very similar looking.
Yeah, very beautiful car indeed. Some great classic British sports cars out in this race. We've got the odd little Lotuses as well, running down towards the tail end of the field. Driver getting across the tyre barriers. That's always a bit of a challenge. You can easily fall down into the tyres, but as we know, tyre barriers still work. They might not be modern technology, but as we saw here at Silverstone, that rather nasty incident with Max Verstappen hitting the wall, the tyre barrier still absorb a lot of energy. So this was when he pulled off the track. But clearly something was already wrong with the car when he did this, because he realised he was going to have to come off to the side of the track. At least he's put it in a place where they can rescue it quite quickly. It is on the Exeter Club corner now, so it is right opposite a pit lane. It's a shame there's no way in though. There's no gap across there that's very easy to get to. So this is causing a bit of a delay in the race, but it will bunch everybody back together, and the pit window is open. So in theory they can do their pit stops, yes, under safety car conditions. So it's a good time to make a pit stop, to be honest. Might as well get everybody to come into the pits, do your pit stop while we're under safety car.
Marshals have got to Theo Hunt's car now, but as you say, it's quite a long way to anywhere to come off the track, so that may need a tow, unless they can pull it back to the outside of Club Corner.
There's the safety car leading them around. A few cars now coming in. They're using the national pits, so that's car number 99. Kevin Kidlocker, who's staying in the car, so his guys are just got a stopwatch running, and they'll tell him, okay, you've done your suitable time, stop, and back on your way. But it's a very pretty Morgan, isn't it?
Yeah, that's an example of the four-wheel Morgan. We saw Sue Derbish's three-wheeler Morgan, and you may recognise this shape of car for new cars, because really the shape of the Morgan hasn't changed that much. Still built in Malvern, and although it's under Italian ownership now, it's still very, very traditional in its build processes. And Kevin Kivlochen, known in the racing world as Keiki, is a multiple champion in historic racing in another Morgan that he owns, and also an AC Cobra that he owns as well. A very experienced driver, Scotsman.
Looks like he's about to be sent back out again. This is a 1961 Morgan, so very original. I noticed Morgan Club is actually, they've got a collection of cars just up behind where our commentary box is. One of the many car clubs that are gathered here at Silverstone this weekend.
Yes, just on your right as you come over the bridge, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, nice to see. And the car at Club has been cleared, Theo Hunt's car.
Yeah, they've moved it right to the outside, which is a pretty safe place for it, to be fair. So it doesn't need to be towed all the way back in. So hopefully we will see the safety car heading into the pits relatively soon. We have seen quite a few pit stops made, but not by everybody. The Nigel Greensaw car has been in, the car that was battling up front. It's now going to be David Gooding who drives that car, but we haven't seen all the leaders come in yet.
I don't think they've been round to the pit lane yet.
Oh no, they're heading there now,
yeah,
aren't they?
It's such a long lap that they've not yet got there, so that I think we're going to see a huge line of cars coming into the pits now to do their mandatory stops.
Yeah, it'll be a busy pit lane as they head on around. Let's see, are we going to see plenty entering in? Nice time.
Spun in sympathy, wasn't it, into the grapple of James. I think that will be James Hansen.
There are a lot of cars heading in, and as you said, Alistair, not all of them, but certainly there were quite a few heading down into the pit lane now. So we shall see how this all turns out. There you are, look, pit lane entry, busy place. Austin Healey coming in, Jaguar E-types, all of them finding their way, being very sensible, keeping to the speed limit, otherwise they pick up a penalty.
A couple of Lotus Elites there as well. Just we're now looking at the Minshaw family car. That's Jack Minshaw, John's son. John climbing in, John, a hugely experienced racing driver in historics particularly, but he did many years in the British GT Championship, latterly in a Lamborghini Huracan, and never won the championship, but was always competitive, but now focuses on his historic racing.
I gather that John owns something like 9 Jaguar E-Types, apparently.
I'm not surprised. Yes, it's always a question of which ones he brought today when he's entered.
Amazing. What a collection of cars. Lovely to see racing as a family as well.
Yeah.
So they go through the time delay that they must sit in the pits before heading back out. A couple of cars haven't stopped yet, so that will change the order for a little while.
That's James Wilmoth being strapped into Crispin Harris's Healy, number 207. Change of driver there. You can see there these days it's a phone clock that they use. It used to be a nice silver stopwatch, didn't it, in the old days, but no more.
And when you're a driver and you've been battling around, it's amazing how long you always feel sitting there. You're thinking, come on guys, surely it must be time to go by now. But you just have to sit and wait until the clock tells you you've done your allocated stop time. There's a lovely pretty little MGA.
Just a very brief shot there of Sam Hancock going out in the 661 car. That was actually the car that spun, wasn't it? In sympathy, my apologies. I said it was 144, it wasn't, it was 661. But now it's Sam Hancock out in that car.
So everybody catching back up, and then the safety car is back in, so we've got the green flag. So we are back to racing now. This has changed things a little bit because some cars have not yet come in. So actually what we now have is Andrew Hibbard is now leading this race, but due to make a pit stop. Andrew is driving another Jaguar E-Type, car number 4, but we're looking back at the car that was doing so well earlier on, the James Cottingham car, now being driven by Harvey Stanley and still being chased by the Ferrari, of course. So this is likely still to be the battle for the lead, even though there are some cars ahead of them, but it's sorting all out the pit stops over the next lap or so. That will all sort out again.
Well, it looks to be, if it is confirmed as they come over the line, it looks that maybe the Pearson-Brundle car got ahead of these two on the pit stop as the Ferrari goes for the outside at Village, but that's not going to work. He's run wide, Lucas Aluso run wide as Harvey Stanley takes the tight line, now cuts in for the apex of the loop, but he goes wide there and the Ferrari gets alongside. I think this will be the change of position because the Ferrari has now got the inside line for Aintree and out onto the Wellington straight, and we saw earlier in the race how quick that Ferrari is on the straight, so Harvey Stanley decides to just tuck in behind and give best to the Ferrari at this point.
So, is this going to be a battle for the lead in the end, or they seem to have lost out a bit on the pit stops? We'll see really when they come round next time. Everyone else is now making their pit stops, so we'll get a sort of clarification of this next time they come over the line as to exactly where they sit. But this is a key battle, and the Ferrari has now moved past the E-Type that it was battling with so long. James is at the wheel. It's now Harvey Stanley at the wheel of that E-Type, and Lucas has taken full advantage of it.
Indeed, yes, and it can be a bit confusing immediately after the pit stops because the timing line actually crosses the pit lane, and some of the cars actually their pit stop is before the timing line, so their last lap time into the pits is often very slow. But we'll see when it shakes out at the end of this lap.
Yeah. The Nigel Green saw David Gooding car did come in a bit earlier than the others. So whether that has gained an advantage as a result, we shall have to wait. See, this is the car that now Gary Pearson is driving. It was Martin Brundle, remember, in the early stages. It's now Gary Pearson who prepares these cars. He's a historic racer of great talent, also works on the cars and makes them beautiful to run.
Well, I think that's confirmation of what I mentioned earlier. I think they did take the lead in the pit stops.
You're right.
So it looks as though a great start from Martin Brundle, now taken over by the hugely experienced Gary Pearson
timing in terms of when that safety car, because we see that in Formula 1 sometimes, don't we? If you're just at the right point to come into the pits as the safety car comes out, you can sometimes gain quite a big amount of time, and I think that's maybe what's happened here.
I think you're right there, Ben. I think they were probably far enough back in the line of cars that the pit window had opened before they got there, so they were able to dive in. under full safety car, whereas our leaders, they missed the pit window opening and passed the pit entry.
Yeah, it's luck of the game, luck of the draw, but it's all part of motorsport, and it can give us some fun results. And certainly Gary Pearson will be tough to beat because he is remarkably rapid in whatever he drives, and it's looking good. Is Martin Brundle going to be race winner here? It could be the case along with Gary Pearson. Let's wait and find out. We've still got 20 minutes to go, plenty of time for there to be some change in the action. Who was effectively fighting for the lead, but he's now some 48 seconds behind, isn't he?
Yeah, it's we've got an Austin Healey pulling off, and that's trailing Oil.
Oh,
I'm afraid, and it's put Oil all down the end of the Hamilton Straight, although thankfully it's not on the line into Abbey Corner, but it's certainly on the line on the run into Abbey, so we may have slippery surface flags going out to warn the drivers of that.
That's something we're seeing from our commentary box. There it is, in fact, picked up on camera very quickly. It is the Christian Van Landschot car, Austin Healey 3000. So this was just a moment ago that you saw, Alistair.
Yes, that was Van Landschot pulling off to the left, right in front of us here. Sorry, slipped back into the circuit commentary there, looking out of the window at what was going on. I didn't realise you weren't seeing it on the screen, but that's what happened. That is a really famous car as well. That's an ex-works car that raced at Le Mans 3 times in the 60s, but that's a very big blowout of the engine.
Painful. Driver is out of the car, but Marshals are keeping an eye on it. So let's go back to what's happening in the race, and it is very comfortable lead at the moment for the Gary Pearson Martin Brundle car, with Gary at the wheel right now. A 16-second lead. That's a good advantage, isn't it, over the number 144 car, the machine of Paul Portiol and James Hansen. I'm not sure which is in the car now, but
the oil that's on the track is causing some issues for drivers. They're not seeing it as they come up the Hamilton Straight, but the Ferrari actually pulls over well away from it.
The Marshals have put up the typical stripy flag on the approach to Abbey, but I've just seen an E-Type on the oil. Oh, it's an E-Type in front of our commentary box, has just gone off at Abbey. There you are, picked up on screen. Oh, it's the 133 car that was doing so well. It's the Minshaw E-Type. That was purely down to oil. He was on the oil as he braked and turned in, and we could see it from our commentary position, and it just went away completely. And before that, drivers had some big wobbles. They didn't realise oil was down. It really needs maybe picking up that oil because it's causing problems, and that's John Minshaw, sadly. Let's see. Well, we see the end of it there.
Yeah, John just got caught. We'd seen off camera, we'd seen out of our window, and John is actually pointing at the oil, saying to the Marshals, "You need to deal with that," because that was a scary incident for John. But we'd seen the Marshals waving the flags, but the drivers don't know where the oil is, do they?
Martin Brundle could end up winning this race. He's standing on the sidelines at the moment, but his car, or the car that he's sharing with Gary Pearson, I should say, he is out in front, and Gary has quite a big lead, some 11 seconds over the Hansen machine. The David Gooding, Nigel Grinsell car in third, Lucas Alusa in the Ferrari, which has set the fastest lap, is lapping 5 seconds a lap faster than the cars ahead of it, but the gap has really grown.
That's Gary Pearson talking to Martin Brundle.
So what's going on there then? Oh, they're in the pit, yeah. They had a problem with it. We didn't see that.
No,
safety car is out. Safety car.
There,
oh yeah, the car's in the pit.
Yeah, I just you said Martin Brundle standing there, and then the camera pans slightly to the right, and his co-driver standing there as well.
We didn't see the car was there, but there it is, car 8 in the pit. Oh, what a shame.
And they're talking to James Hansen in the background there as well, one of the drivers from the other E-Types.
Oh, so it's all change again. What a pity. But Martin laughing anyway. He's been through plenty over the years.
Well, did I say earlier he'll have a smile from ear to ear when he was racing, and he just loves his racing, doesn't he?
So safety car is being run because of the oil down. There's some more oil flags being shown by the Marshals now, and I do understand that. I think very sensible. There are 16 minutes to go in this race, but that slippery area, really quite dangerous, particularly if cars are running side by side up into Abbey Corner. We can see it from our commentary position. There's still this long line of slippery, oily surface, and it's right on it's the perfect there. You can see it on the right. You just see a slight sheen, and that is the braking and turning point. And you can see some of the tyre marks. And when John Minshaw came up there, he was absolutely on that line, and that's what we saw. Suddenly, he just hurtled off the road because there was no grip. So I'm afraid that's what oil does. You see it so much nowadays in modern motorsport because hopefully there's less opportunities for leakages, but in older cars it does happen quite often, blow-ups, etc. And it really caught John out. But it has meant the safety car's back out again, and it also means we've got a different leader now because the Pearson-Brundle car has come back into the pits. It also means, of course, they will all be close together when the race restarts. So we could be up for quite an exciting restart.
And Nigel Greensall actually is back up into second. We did see that before, but we were so busy talking about everything else going on. But Nigel Greensall, who'd lost places early on, now handed over to David Gooding, had actually leapfrogged the Ferrari and the leading E-Type, again due to when the pit stop window opened and whether they were able to get into the pits or not. The drivers all know where the oil is now, so they're all sticking to the middle of the track.
But I guess once the safety car has picked up the whole, it hasn't picked up the whole field yet. It's taking a while because it was so spread out. It's taking a while to get them all up to the safety car, longer than you would think, really. So the marshals can't get out there and actually put down any dust on the oil, which is what they will plan to do, to soak up some of that oil, and also putting the dust down shows the drivers exactly where that's which helps. But they haven't been able to get out there yet, I'm afraid, because the cars are also spread out. It's too dangerous for the marshals to get out until they've caught the safety car. So
that's quite a long slick as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
It'll take a little while. We've got the recovery vehicle ready to go and tow John Minshaw out of the gravel.
This is the lead car now, but of course it will be having to follow the safety car around. But a big opportunity for them with the E-Type.
Yes, so it's E-Type leading Ferrari, leading E-Type at the moment, and then Austin Healey next up.
Right.
So it's certainly at the moment an E-Type benefit, but as you've just said, they'll all close up, and who's in third place? The Ferrari of Lucas Halusa, who showed himself to be a very quick driver.
Indeed, yes. So we'll see whether he's going to be able to do anything there or not. Still waiting to let them all gather together, though, aren't we? There's that little pretty Alfa Romeo again, running further down towards the back. The MGs they are behind the safety car, so the safety car has basically picked up the leader. I wonder if they're going to let those two through, or they're going to keep, I think they'll just keep them behind. Oh no, he has, the safety car's let those two through, so that the leader is now the car behind the safety car. It's going to take a little while for those two to go and catch up the back of the queue.
It's such a long circuit. Some very long circuits, they use more than one safety car. Le Mans, for example, where they can control the field much more quickly, but we only use one safety car at Silverstone.
Yes, indeed. The safety car now will control it, but what it does mean, of course, is all those gaps that were pretty big, certainly between first and second and third, it really opens the doors again for Lucas Halusa in that Ferrari, doesn't it? Because we've seen the pace that he has.
And we can see in the shot now when they're coming through the twists that you can see all of the leading cars now in a line. So it's the 144 leading, which was started by James Hansen, and it's been taken over by owner Paul Pochgol. And then in second place we've got the David Gooding driven, started by Nigel Greensall, and then Lucas Halusa solo in the Ferrari, and then it's now Harvey Stanley who is in fourth place, having taken over from James Cottingham.
Okay, yes, good point. They're changed over. So as you say, the E-Types are doing well, chased by Austin Healey 3000. The first of the AC Cobras is now running in 7th place, and that is the Pat Blakely Edwards, I think, is in the car now, isn't he?
Yes, I think normally Hunt will start that car.
Yeah, he did do the first stint, so he's going to be part of that group.
Yeah, he's definitely in with a shout, yeah.
Keep an eye on that. So I think we're on for quite an exciting restart when we get there, but we're still a little way off. We still haven't seen the marshals getting out to deal with that oil strip yet. I do hope there's going to be time. They are recovering the John Minshaw car. There's a JCB out there just in front of our commentary box at the moment, which is about to do the job of towing out the Jaguar E-Type, so sadly ended up in the gravel. That won't take so long, but just worried that they haven't been able to start dusting down the oil strip yet.
And I'll just throw another couple of cars into the mix, Ben, for us to watch in the last section of the race. Chris Ward has now taken over Gregor Fiskin's car. That's number 60, so look out for that one as well. That's a cream-coloured E-Type. Chris Ward, absolutely superb in anything, but particularly Jaguars. And then we've got Ollie Webb as well. Ollie Webb in the E-Type that's taken over from Zeisser, number 77. We know how Ollie Webb is. Very interesting chat with Ollie, with Nicky Shields.
I think we could be on for a remarkable restart as long as they get the... right, now they have started dusting down the oil strip, but they've only just started at one end, and it's a good 150 metres, would you say?
Yeah.
Of distance there that they've got to cover. That's not easy. Marshals, who are in front of us, are going down with their buckets of sand as well, or especially
super absorbent material.
Super absorbent material, we should say. Yes, yes. But unfortunately, there you go. There they are, going out, rushing out to try and soak up some of the oil that's down on that area, which has caused a problem. And actually, the safety cars just coming past. You'll see the stream of cars on the left. If you're watching the screens now, there's the lead group of cars coming up past that area, and also they're just about to go past the E-Type, which has been rescued from the gravel, I'm glad to say. No damage, I think, done to the E-Type. It looks fine. It just got stuck on the gravel track. The JCB is down there now and pulling it out of its way. So they're getting it cleared up, and the Marshals doing a fabulous job of trying to clean up that long strip of oil. But two groups of Marshals, it's going to take a little while to spread it all out. There's the E-Type, and John's getting back in the car.
Yeah, I did think I saw him putting the belts on, and I think that Marshal is actually helping him, because it's quite difficult to put the seat belts on in a tight, confined space. And I do wonder whether John will actually go back in the race. He's not going to get a finish in any decent position. Yes, he is. He's taking the car. He may come straight back into the pits, but John has driven the car away rather than it being towed away, as the Marshals continue to work very hard on the oil strip.
Indeed, yes. Well, I hope you're all enjoying the show. No matter if we've got a safety car, we could be up for a pretty exciting end to this race. One of the many races that we are enjoying here at the Classic at Silverstone. If you're here at Silverstone, as we are, well, I hope you're enjoying the views around different parts of the circuit. You can have a little wander around different grandstands, give you different perspectives on the corners, on the sound of those beautiful engines that are out there. If you're watching with us online, streaming online, wherever you are in the world, or have it on in the background, glancing at some of these beautiful cars, well, it's great to have you with us. Thanks for your company. And we're hoping for some more great racing as we go throughout the course of the day. Plenty more to look forward to, and we'll be seeing racing all the way till 9 o'clock tonight. That's when the final race is going to occur. And you can see many car clubs are gathered. Here's one of them. This is a Porsche car club gathered. Look at that fantastic number of Porsches all gathered together. The Triumph Stags anniversary as well. And the fairground, you can go and do that if you're here. You've got a ticket to be at Silverstone, and it's free entry to the whole fairground area, which is great fun. Plenty of places to get something to eat or drink, and special setups all around the circuit for people to enjoy. And it's lovely to see so many fans here, whether they're watching the racing out on track or enjoying some of the other aspects that are going on. There's music playing as well throughout the day and into the evening. Lots to enjoy here, and Silverstone putting on another great display. The Marshals are doing a fine job, I have to say. They've managed to get dust down through all the sand or the material, there you are, to soak up most of the oil. Most of that area is done now, isn't it?
Very, very efficient. Yeah, one at the front with a shovelful of the absorbent material running along, letting it run out gradually, and then behind a couple with sweepers. It's a bit like curling, isn't it? You know, when the two sweepers just ahead of the stone coming down the ice, but the sweepers in this case run behind the person putting the material down.
Yeah. And the Marshals, there's a lot of Marshals here this weekend on such a big circuit. You've got a 3.6 mile track, many corners of course, and so a lot of staff working hard. They're volunteering to make these events continue, and you can always go along to the website marshals.co.uk if you want to get involved as a marshal. I know many of you who wanted to take on marshalling over the shutdown periods. It's been hard because the Marshals training program had to be put on sidelines for a while, but now that things are opening up, there are more opportunities again to get involved. So the leaders are coming past. I wonder how many more laps they're going to have to do behind safety car. I think they are getting there with this soak up, and the great thing is now that the whole field knows that the oil is there. You can see the area, and they know they're not don't drive on that bit. So hopefully we might get this race underway shortly.
Yeah, it's also good preparation for the next race as well. If they can get the job done now, then they can maybe go out between the races, just check that they've covered the whole area. But the Marshals now retreating behind their posts, just moving back, so the safety car lights will go out in nearly a lap's time, because they're only just coming through towards the loop, but it won't be too long, I don't think, that the Marshals will clear the track.
It's going to be a very dramatic end to this race. I just had a message using my Twitter feed @NetTV, Nick Hunt, who says the racing's so exciting. Formula 2 was epic. Loved Brundle's battle in the E-Type. Give us a shout out to Rich and Nick at Woodcote, please. Well, hello to Rich and Nick at Woodcote, amongst the many fans here. Hope you're enjoying the day so far, and great to have your connection. We're all looking forward to the end of this race, which is going to be a mighty battle in the closing stages. E-Types, Ferraris, Austin Healey, in there as
and
well.
the Cobra
and
as
the
well.
Cobra, yeah, which as you said, could be a real threat to them as well. So Pat Blakeney-Edwards in the Cobra, he's going to be pushing hard to see where he can get to. Had a very useful victory earlier in the pre-war race in the Fraser Nash, and now in the Cobra. You can just see it in the background there.
The only slight disadvantage that those further back in the queue are is they've got a slower car in front of them, and these four that we see in the picture now behind the safety car, they're full leaders, and I'm sure they'll be absolutely on it from the first moment they can. But then there's a slower Aston Martin, and that actually won't be quite as quick. They can overtake until they pass the green flag, so that could, I'm afraid, affect the cars that I mentioned as being potential winners, the Chris Ward, the Ollie Webb, and also Patrick Blakeney-Edwards.
Okay, that's very important. Yeah, it's always difficult when there's a back marker there, but that's part and parcel of all this. So just over 3 minutes to go in the race duration. Are we going to see the safety car coming in? I think we probably will, because the area where the Marshals have been working is completely clear. Mind you, the lights are still on the safety car. No, it is going to be coming in. We've just seen up on our timing screens that the safety car is coming in on this lap. Yeah, lights out on the safety car, and so now everybody knows we're about to go back to racing. And the Poshkol Hansen car, which is leading this race, is it going to stay in control? That's the interesting one.
Well, certainly there'll be 3 cars that move as early as possible. They can't overtake until they come across the timing line.
We are all set for the restart here, and it's going to be a short race to the checkered flag in the Tourist Trophy for historic cars. A great start by the race leader, but it's all getting a bit exciting behind. They can't overtake until the line, but we're at the line now. And here comes Lucas Alusa, trying to take second in the Ferrari. He's got a great sideways run. Keep off the oil. That's it. So everybody making sure they keep off that dusty section. The Alusa Ferrari is up into second place, being chased by Harvey Stanley in the E-Type. But James Hansen, I think it is, who's got control at the moment.
I think James Hansen was in the pits with Brundle, wasn't he? So I think this will be Paul Pochgiol in the E-Type, and the Ferrari right up behind it now, and then the Harvey Stanley car level with the Ferrari, the E-Type on the outside, and the Ferrari takes the lead.
Yeah, he's got in front, I think, Lucas, or has he? They're still side by side, battle for the lead. The Ferrari's there, and down to third place goes Pochgiol. So leading the race with a comfortable advantage before the safety car came out, and that's changed everything. The Ferrari is now leading the E-Types, defending mightily down to Brooklands.
Absolutely, yes. Lucas went to the inside line there. Harvey Stanley, a very quick driver, actually works for James Cottingham's company, so they were they know each other very well, and they often share. And this car very quick indeed as they come through Luffield. This I think will be the last lap, won't it? We've only got a minute to go. So as they come out through Woodcote Corner, it's still the Ferrari leading from the E-Type of Harvey Stanley. It's Lucas Halusa who leads.
Yeah, we've got a great race for third place in the background as well. I think Halusa's probably got the advantage here, but who's going to end up in third place could go anywhere really at the moment. Number 60 car is charging through.
Chris Ward, it's one of the quick drivers that I mentioned, and he's managed to get through into a net third place now, I think, having got past Potchkill.
Yeah, Potchkill dropping back again, having had the advantage early on. And there, you can see in the background the silver Cobra. That is Pat Blakeney-Edwards, who could still have a chance. I'm not sure he's going to get a podium finish, but may well be able to take fourth place before the checkered flag comes out. Halusa has the advantage of the Ferrari. The lights are on, the E-Type, but I'm not sure it's got quite enough pace.
Coming down the Hanger Straight, we've only got 15 seconds to go, so they're turning into Stowe Corner now. The Ferrari ahead, but look how close Harvey Stanley is. He's much later on the brakes as they turn into Stowe Corner.
Yeah, Harvey Stanley late, as we say, on the brakes, the car weaving around, but it wasn't enough to close the gap up. The final, we are on the final lap. The checker flag is being prepared, coming through the last couple of corners. A dramatic finish after a rather long safety car period. The victory goes to Luca Halusa. Ferrari beats Jaguar. The E-Types defeated in the end after a tremendous race throughout. Third place going to Chris Ward, who fought his way through there on the last stage of the race. Potchkill did hang on to fourth, with Pat Blakeney-Edwards in the Cobra finishing in fifth position. Tremendous racing, good fun to watch, and a whole gaggle of cars now coming over the line to finish off this race.
What a fantastic drive. The Ferrari looked quite difficult in the wet yesterday, but it hit its stride today.
It did, yeah. It's been a while since I've really driven it in the wet as well, so I felt a bit uncomfortable yesterday, but today I felt good and immediately, and pushed hard the entire race, and I thought I was going to get done at some point by Harvey, but managed to stay ahead.
It was fantastic to watch. Second place, James Cottingham, Harvey Stanley. You tried everything. Was there anything else you could have done?
Not really. Have a Ferrari, maybe?
Harvey, but difficult in the last stint behind the safety car and then just the one lap.
Yeah, I knew that there was the four of us at the front, and I thought we were first and second, and then when I saw the pit boards, I realised that the other guys were in front. So I knew it was going to be a dash to get ahead of those guys, and then Chris Ward was in my mirrors as well, so I knew that was going to be if it was 2 laps, it might have been a bit closer for second.
Moving on to third place, Gregor and Chris. What a fantastic race, 13th to the podium. Well done.
Well, they say 13th is an unlucky number, but it wasn't today, and we had a lot of fun, and it's such a great grid, and thank you to the guys at DK for supporting this. Great cars, great racing. Chris was doing an awesome job. We would have loved just one more lap, but that's racing, and we look forward to the next one.
I was going to ask Chris, you would have loved another couple of laps, wouldn't you?
For sure. The safety car was a little bit tiring, and I thought we might actually end of the race under the safety car. But when we got that one lap, I thought, yeah, let's have a go. And I think I managed 3 on the last lap, which was really good. And Harvey and Lucas were in my sights, but just that little bit too far.
Well, it was great to watch. Thank you very much.
Well done, Lucas.